This is such a good one. Today, we're diving into what to do when members are starting at different places and how to organize your content, what to do when everyone seems interested in your membership, but no one's actually signing up, how to make your membership a place people actually want to be in and spend time in, how to get more visibility online when your audience kind of seems a little burnt out from you talking and selling your membership, and how often you should open your doors depending on how long you've had your membership and how many members you have inside. Welcome to the $1 Million Memberships Podcast, where we help female entrepreneurs like yourself start, grow, and scale multiple 6- and 7-figure online memberships with simple, step-by-step strategies that actually work.
Your life is about to get so good.
Let's dive in. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the $1 Million Memberships Podcast. Before we get into this episode, if you are listening to this in real time, it is official. It is Black Friday week, which means $1 Million Memberships Club is open for our Black Friday enrollment. This is such a exciting enrollment because we've officially introduced another tier inside of $1 Million Memberships Club. So now you can literally choose your support inside of $1 Million Memberships Club, whether you are coming in and you really work better on your own, you kind of just want the templates and resources and the coursework and the community and the calls, or maybe you're like, I am so ready to freaking scale this thing. I am going all in this year. I would love more personalized, direct feedback from Paige and the other support coaches so I can really make sure every single thing that I do, I'm really making sure it's personalized to me and I'm getting that in real time feedback where I don't have to wait between calls to get it. So we've officially introduced our VIP tier, which just gets you that little bit extra support between calls where you really get personalized feedback and support, get your questions answered from myself and our other MDMC support coaches. We have some insane Black Friday rates going on, including having monthly payment plans available, which are not available throughout the year. So if you want to get into $1 Million Memberships Club, but you're not quite sure if you want to do the annual pricing, or right now it's just not in the cards to do our pay in full for the year, you have the opportunity to get in on a payment plan, which again, that is going to disappear soon. And rates will also be going up throughout the week with our Black Friday enrollment. So if you're not only ready to get that support to go all in with your membership this year, but you want every single template, resource, guidebook to set it all up in half the time so that you can really make 2026 the year that you actually scale your membership, pause this, go to the show notes, find the first link. That's where you're going to get all of our details for Black Friday, our different tier options, our rates, and you'll get to see everything that comes included in there. Plus, you will see how you can get a $1 Million Memberships kit sent right to your door when you sign up. Head to the first link in the show notes to see all the details, and let's get into the episode. We have got some incredible Q&A questions this week. Thank you guys for sending them in. First of all, yes, let's just do a big thank you. If you have been sending in your questions, whether that's through Instagram, I've gotten some emails. I appreciate you, and I'm just so happy that you're taking the time to get your questions answered and really put in the effort to get support with your membership. It's absolutely incredible. So this is just a reminder to everyone, if you have questions, hunt me down on Instagram, find me at the Membership Muse, send me a quick DM. You can also send in your questions through email at support@paigevandy.com. Every single question that we get, we just screenshot it, we put it in a folder, and we save it, and we go through them throughout the month to pick out questions for our Q&A episodes. If your question doesn't get answered on a Q&A episode, because obviously we only have so much time, we keep it in there and we just keep going through them until your questions get answered. So if you have a question at all, submit it, find me on Instagram, send us an email, and just know at the end of every single month, we do a Q&A episode answering all your questions. So let's get into our first question for our Q&A of November. I don't know how to organize content in my membership with everyone starting at different places. This, I would say, is one of the probably top sticky points for membership founders, because especially if you're coming from something like one-on-one coaching or one-on-one services or anything where you're just meeting with people one-on-one, you're so used to being able to talk to them and personalize things for them. But with a membership, we want everything to be automated, right? This is something that we are scaling, and you cannot be in the community, or you cannot be in emails or on Zoom calls with every single person, showing them how to personalize the experience to where they're at and where they're starting. I'm going to share my method of how I do this inside of my own membership, inside of Million Dollar Memberships Club, and also what we teach our members inside. So if this relates to you, first things first, if you have people who are all kind of coming in at different places, like for example, Million Dollar Memberships Club, we have people who are coming in who are brand spanking new. They don't have members yet. They don't have a membership built yet. They don't have a platform. And we also have members coming in who already have 400, 500 plus members, and they're really wanting to scale. So the people who already have a good chunk of people inside of their membership are not going to want to sit through all of our building modules and what platform is best and all of those things. They're ready to jump to our culture building mode and our scaling mode. So it's really important that you have a clear, this is where you start. This is how you really determine what is the best place for you to start and go from there. So first things first, we have to really zoom out and we have to just get very clear of what is that overall result. So if someone was to come into your membership, let's just say a year from now, 5 years from now, what is that ultimate goal? What is that ultimate result? For an example, Million Dollar Memberships Club, the ultimate result is having a membership that generates multiple 6 or 7 figures a year on autopilot. Next, we have to look at, okay, to get that result, what are all those little intricacies, the milestones, the processes, the levels of what they have to go through to get to that final result? So for us, Million Dollar Memberships Club, that's obviously going to be things like building out your membership, pricing your membership, creating enrollment processes, creating a content plan in a membership content cadence, locking in your retention practices, hiring out team, all of these things that actually go into that bigger result. So you want to really look at, okay, so for my result, what are all those little tiny intricacies, those processes, all the things that really make up that result? Next, you want to then determine where could people possibly be coming in? If you could separate people into a couple different quote unquote camps, what camps would you put them in? So for example, Million Dollar Memberships Club, we really have 3 camps of people. We have people who are in their build mode. So that's just getting started, getting all of the structure pieces in place, like really are people starting from zero. Next, we have our culture mode. Culture, this is where people are really working to establish. So maybe they already have their first group of founding members, and now they're really just trying to create a really sticky community, a really true culture inside of their membership. This is where most people start. Even if they have a lot of people inside of their membership, this is usually where people do start because there's so many intricacies to actually making sure that your culture and your community is solidified, even if you scaled without it, to make sure that it stays consistent and to make sure that it lasts and this becomes a true legacy. We really get people usually to start in there. So that's just an example. Our final mode is what we call our $1 million mode. This is for people who have their membership built. They have a really sticky community, really sticky culture. All of their community cadences are in place. Everything's feeling really great there. And now they're just looking to really pour gas on that fire that's already doing so well and scale it to multiple 6 and 7 figures. So really ask yourself, even though there's nuances to every single person who's coming into your membership, in general, can you put them into camps? Next, you need to create a roadmap, or what we call inside a $1 million Memberships Club, a success path for how they operate and work through each of those modes or camps, whatever you are calling yours. So example, in $1 million Memberships Club, we have checklists under each one. So under build mode, there's a checklist of all the things they have to complete in build mode. We also have another area for milestones. How do you actually know it's working inside of your membership? We also have a roadblocks. So in an ideal world, people go through a checklist and everything's great, but I'm 99% sure inside of your membership, there's going to be nuances. Inside of my membership, there's nuances. People might do their first launch to the T, but it doesn't work out and they have to go back and look at what made this not work out. Maybe they just didn't have the audience there or whatever it might be. So we have also a list of roadblocks of, okay, if your checklist or if you're not hitting a certain milestone for some reason, come down to this roadblock and this might be why. So you are trying to almost take everything that you would personally do if you are working with this person one-on-one, and how can you actually automate that and create that into a system that your members can just come in and they can do it on their own. So for us, we have a checklist, and when our members come into the membership, we get them to watch the video first to really determine where they're going to be starting in our checklist. You might do something like a quiz. If you can do a quiz really easy and get people to just kind of check things off and let them know where to start. There's a lot of ways to go about this, but at the end of the day, big picture, you just want to make sure you have some kind of success path. People know exactly where to start, and then they also know where to work through it. If you come inside of $1 Million Memberships Club, you will see exactly what I mean, because it's the first thing that you'll really be working on when you come inside the club. Question number 2, my audience always seems really interested in my membership, but never sign up, even though the price is extremely low. What am I doing wrong? So anytime I read anything like this about objections, whether that is the price is too high, I don't have enough time, I'll join another time, I'll join when life settles down a little bit. What this really means, like my alarm bells in my head just start going off immediately, is that your audience, it's not necessarily that they don't have time, their schedule is too busy, they'll do it another time, it's too expensive. It's that they don't actually see the value to make this a priority investment. So I know I've talked about this, and I think maybe another Q&A episode, or maybe it was just a regular episode, I can't remember now, but I will say it again because it's obviously very important. In the membership world, it's really important to understand the difference between a luxury investment and an essential investment. So I'll just give you an example here. Let's just say we have somebody and they are feeling, and they just went through a really hard time in their life. Maybe they went through a lot of trauma. Maybe they had a really bad relationship ending, whatever it might be. They just had a really hard time in their life. This person might look at something like a month-long vacation to Mexico to just get away from things as a luxury. Like, oh my God, I need this. That would be so nice. But that's just like, maybe down the line, when I have more money, when things settle down, when I don't have my job as crazy, when I am able to not work a 9-to-5, right? So people are looking at this as like, oh, a month in Mexico would be so nice. What a luxury. I would love to have it, but what a luxury. Now, let's just imagine this exact same person going through a really traumatic time, having the worst time of their life, and they see a Hoffman retreat come up. Let's say this Hoffman retreat is also in Mexico, and it's also 4 weeks, a month away. But the difference between just going to Mexico for a vacation and going to Mexico for a healing Hoffman retreat, where they're going to face their trauma and overcome it so they don't repeat the same patterns, that has an actual transformation. It has an actual transition. They know what to expect. It's something that they are desperately wanting and knowing that they don't want to keep repeating their same patterns. So the person is much more likely to go the extra steps to get that help and to go to that retreat rather than going to just like a 4 weeks in Mexico vacation. They'll probably talk to their boss. They will maybe even dip into their savings because they see this as a really big investment into their future. Whereas when it's just a vacation, they still want to go just as much, but they don't see it the same way. So this is what your membership needs to be in the eyes of your audience. It needs to be something that, yes, it might be an investment. Yes, the time might not be perfect, but this is something that they need right now. They can't just keep waiting and pushing it away till the time gets better. It's something that they actually need right now because they can see the exact transformation and the transition that they are going to go through by going through your membership. So you really need to ask yourself, what is my ideal members in real time pain that they're going through? I know that sounds a little intense, but hear me out. You have to get so specific on what it is that they are going through at this exact moment and what they really want. And you need to be able to paint the picture that your membership is meeting them where they're at. And when they go through your membership, they're going to do this, this, and this so that they can have that end desired result that they really want. Let's just say that the Hoffman retreat, they're not just saying, come to this retreat and heal, come to this retreat to feel better. They're saying, come to this retreat to uncover deep-seated traumas that are keeping you stuck in your life and keeping you repeating the same patterns over and over again. So for you and your membership, you cannot just say, this is the one-stop shop for business, or this is your one-stop shop for health and wellness. You have to get so specific on what it actually does, who it's for, what that actual transformation is, what it's going to really take people from. I call this a transition statement, where they are right now, where are they going to be, and what does that just ideal life look like for them once they go through it. So anytime you are seeing objection after objection, do not just go and slash your price, because I can almost guarantee it's not actually your price. I can almost 99% guarantee it's your messaging. People will pay and jump into something that they see an immediate value in and that they see as an actual priority for them. Next is, how do I make sure my membership is a place people actually want to be in, something that's engaging, fun, and gets them great results? This, my friend, is what I call the 4 R's of retention. And I have done an entire episode on the 4 R's of retention. I will link it in the show notes if you want to jump to it, or you can just kind of scroll down and see it, whatever you want to do. I go so in detail with examples of every single one, but I will go through them again, because even though I have done an episode on this, when I saw this question, it's just something that I know people are constantly asking, and you might have missed the episode. And I think it's an important one to just really hammer into our heads and remember. So I'm going to go through them really quickly again. 4 R's of retention. This is something that you always want to have inside of your membership. So in $1 Million Memberships Club, we actually have a schedule for our members to make sure that they are implementing this on their back end, whether that's them doing it or a VA doing it or a community manager doing it. These things are being done on a consistent schedule inside of your memberships. The first R of the 4 R's of retention is retention. Hi, I could probably get more creative on this, but whatever. Retention, basically what I mean here is they're just excited for what's to come next. So every single month, you need to make sure that you are just keeping your members excited to keep renewing for the next month. So this could be, for an example, on the 15th to the 20th of every single month, you're talking about the new workshops that are coming up the next month, or maybe some new templates that are dropping, or a guest speaker coming in. This episode drops November 24th, and we have already done this and told our members inside of $1 Million Memberships Club what they can expect coming up in December and even into the next quarter, because we have some really great resources coming out. So you kind of want to just make sure you're always doing it a little bit ahead of time, so people are kind of just seeing themselves in the membership, getting excited for what's to come next, and they're not just sitting there stagnant. The next R is relation. This just means that your members are relating, they are connecting to other members inside of your membership. This is so important as a membership founder, as someone leading a membership. This is truly your job, is making sure that your members are connecting with other members. There's things happening inside the community, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with your community. So ways that you can do this is having posts that go out every week, like engagement posts that you drop into the community, but they're really focused on members connecting with each other inside of those posts. Rather than just responding to your questions, you want to also make sure that there is a component of it where they are encouraged to talk to other members or seek out other members. This could be something like co-working sessions or sister circles. Matching accountability buddies, having a monthly book club, something where people are just kind of feeling a little bit more than just what your membership is about, but they're actually bought in as a community. Somewhere where they go to connect with people. That is your goal. So if you can't tell, this one's very important. And again, if you are joining $1 Million Memberships Club during our open, we have schedules, we have templates, we have calendars, examples of all these different types of posts, seriously lists and lists of ideas of things you can post into your community that are going to fall in this category specifically. The third R is reflection. So this is where you're really encouraging your members to reflect back on any progress that they've made, whether that's this week or whether that has been this last month. You're just constantly making sure that people are really seeing even the little things that they're doing, because we all know if your membership has a big result, like growing a really successful business or really locking in your health or healing trauma or whatever it is, these usually aren't quick fixes. And a lot of people can get into states where they might feel stagnant and then they think the membership's not working, but really they're just not actually seeing the little tiny steps and progress that they're making towards their goal. We just expect everything to happen instantly, right? So it's really important that you're keeping your members really on top of that and looking back at the things they actually are doing rather than where they're not yet. It's almost like that death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of situation, right? It's just like little, 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 little. And oh my God, that was such a gruesome example. I don't know why I can't think of another example, but you know what I mean? Keep them focused on the little cuts that they're making. I need to come up with a different example because I talk about this all the time. And it's probably really important that I do come up with a better example. But I think for this episode, we get it, and I'm going to move on. If you have a better metaphor, send it my way. And number 4 is reason. So this is basically, I like to think of this as member loyalty. Why are they wanting to stay in your membership? What loyalty do they have to your membership? Maybe your members get special perks when they stay in your membership for a certain amount of time, or maybe you have like a really exciting leaders program that they can apply to be in once they've been in a membership a certain amount of time, or once they've shown a specific amount of authority inside of your community or participation inside of your community. There's just these things that people can look forward to join or be a part of. Maybe you do member shout outs, maybe you reward your members for certain things, whatever it might be. Why are your members really loyal to your membership and want to stay inside of your membership, and really not even stay in your membership, but be bought in your membership, like really participate in your membership? A lot of the times this is going to boil down to you having some sort of, I don't like ranking systems. I don't love the concept of like leaderboards or like competition when it comes to memberships. I know there's some platforms that like that's their thing, but the reason I don't like it is because with the type of memberships that we're forming, and you know, all of us inside $1 Million Memberships Club, we're really forming memberships that become a true community, not something where people are competing against each other, but something where people are building each other up. People want to be a part of something with each other, and it just creates this world and community. That's the kind of membership I focus on. There definitely are membership platforms and membership trainers, instructors that like the competitive system. It's just not what I personally like, so I don't recommend that. I more so recommend something where it's like a leader program or an ambassador program. If someone's really showing up inside of your membership and they're doing great, maybe they get to represent your membership a little bit in a little bit higher of a capacity, whether that's like on social media or having a badge or helping other members in your community, and they have that credibility that they're a leader or an ambassador or whatever it might be. So really building your people up, I think, is really important. And that is why that is our 4th R of retention, and getting people to love your membership and enjoy being in it and getting results inside of your membership. Again, if you want the full training on this concept, I do have an entire episode of the 4 R's of retention. You can go back and listen to that one after this one. Next question is, I'm not getting traction selling to my own audience. What is the best way to grow my membership otherwise? So when it comes to, I basically boil this down to visibility. That's kind of what I'm seeing this question being, is how do I get more visible so I'm not just constantly selling to my own audience who doesn't seem interested? So really there's 3 ways to do this. The first way is going to be organically. It's just going to be building your audience, like very of course, Paige type of moment. This isn't something that's going to be fast by any means. It could be fast. There's definitely people who've just like taken off like that from a viral moment. But for the majority of people, this isn't necessarily the fast option, but it is a very concrete and one of the best options, because you have to really look at building your audience as planting a garden. I'm going to use another metaphor for a second, but don't worry, this one I've been using for years, so I won't fuck this one up, or I won't make this one really dark. So planting a garden, basically how I look at this is, when you plant a garden, you are just planting seeds, right? So you are planting seeds in the dirt, you're covering them up so you can't see them, but they're all there. So this is like your content. This is you creating reel after reel after reel, or post after post after post, podcast after podcast, whatever. This is your content. You are then constantly watering those seeds, nothing's happening, but you know they're down there, but just nothing's happening. You're just like, fuck, this is taking so long. I don't know when these are going to sprout, but goddamn, this is taking forever. Then all of a sudden, little tiny sprouts come and start poking up over the dirt. This is almost what I like to think of as like the interest in your membership, the interest in what you have to offer. And they're just really small and tiny. And you're just like, you're watering them and they stay really small for a little bit. And then all of a sudden you come out one day to go water your garden and they've like shot up, right? And so this is how I really see building your content in terms of selling your membership, is you are constantly just putting out seeds. You are watering those seeds. So that is putting out content over and over and over and over again. And suddenly when the sprouts start to come up, those are the people interested. those are people who are finally ready to buy from you, or they are loving your stuff, or they just found you because of that compounding effect that happens on social media or other platforms that you put out content. Then all of a sudden, when it's a huge stock, that's just like, oh my God, it's overwhelming how many people want to join this thing. And so it's really important to look at your content that way, rather than just like, I'm putting out this content and nothing's happening, because it is happening. It's just happening behind the scenes that you can't really see it yet, and you're not really seeing the actual full effect of it yet, but it is happening with every single piece that you're putting out. So even though there's 3 different ways that I really teach to get visibility, I always say be doing the build. Don't not do the build. So whether this is Instagram content, whether this is TikTok, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever your thing is, keep doing the build. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you can borrow your audience. So this is another one that I really recommend our members do inside of $1 Million Memberships Club to gain traction quicker and to build your audience a lot faster. So this, an example I tell a lot of my members to do is like take 1 to 3 months and commit to putting yourself on a podcast tour. So reach out to all the podcasts that you can think of that you think their audience would be a good fit, or you guys would have an overlapping audience, and pitch yourself to them. You're not going to hear from a lot of them, but you are going to hear from a handful of them. So it really can be a numbers game. Pitch yourself to everyone that you can think of and put yourself on a podcast tour, or maybe you're like in the YouTube world, find collabs, find people that you can collab with on videos. Put yourself on some sort of media visibility tour, and you're going to then bring in people who are like, hey, this person's amazing. Then they'll come to your account, they'll follow you, and that's how you grow your audience. If you guys can hear Merlot in the background, I am so sorry. I think I say this every podcast, but the girl's never not where I am. And the girl's always snoring. So it's just kind of the reality of this podcast, I think. The next one is you can buy your audience. Obviously, when you buy your audience, that means putting money into advertising. So Meta ads, Pinterest ads, Google ads, wherever your audience is, putting money into ads to get them into your world. The only thing I will say about this is if you are going to put money into ads, you have to make sure that your messaging is so freaking clear, especially what we talked about before, the transition, the transformation, the result, all of it needs to be so freaking clear, because if you are putting money into ads and your messaging is just very basic, it's not going to work. If you are putting money into ads and the sales page that they land on is very unclear or unaesthetic, it's not going to work, likely. Especially if that messaging is off. So it's really important that you, before you ever think of doing that, you're putting money into something that you've already kind of had a little proof of concept. You've had proof that it's worked, but just on maybe a really small scale. And now you're looking to pour gas on that fire. Okay, and the last one we have time for today is how often should I launch versus promote evergreen? So if you guys have been listening to this podcast for a little while, you know I am, for the most part, a fan of open close rather than evergreen. But there are nuances to it. Again, depending on if you are like how I see it in $1 Million Memberships Club in build mode, or if you are in our $1 Million mode and you're scaling, I'm going to give you a different answer, which again is why a success path is really important and why this is important for your membership too. But yeah, the answer for this one, end of the day, is it varies depending on membership. But if I'm going to try and get specific for you, then the first thing that we have to look at, like the first nuance of this basically is your membership something that can close, or is it something that has to really stay open? So like an example I use often is like a pregnancy membership. You can't really open and close that because people aren't going to wait 6 months to get into your membership when their pregnancy is already more than halfway over. So it's important that you really look at your membership specifically first. Is it something that can be open close? The second nuance is how many members do you have? So if someone was asking me this question and they had 10 members, I would say you want to be opening up your membership more often than not. So 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times a year, but then also having a back end strategy to sell people on the back end as well, because you don't just want to have your membership closed and block people from coming in when you're really trying to grow it. However, urgency is a thing. if your membership is always open, even if you have 10 members, people are always going to make up some kind of, oh, maybe in next week, right? Even if it's something that is a essential to them or they see as a priority investment, there's more of a chance for them to still put it off like day by day or month or week by week. And you want to get people in right away. So I still, even if you are trying to grow, recommend doing an open and close. But there's so many ways this could look. So for example, like with my other memberships, I did one where I only opened it twice a year, 1 to 2 times a year, I think twice a year. And with $1 Million Memberships Club, this membership is essentially a newer membership. I haven't had it for years like I had my other one, so I'm opening it more. And there's other little things that you can do. Like you can have your membership open for annual only. And then you can also add payment plan options for like your open time, right? So you're kind of adding that urgency to get in now if you want a payment plan and then closing it, but still having the annual open. Or you can just do completely open and close and then have a back end strategy. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but at the end of the day, if you're brand new, you're going to want to open it more times than not. So I would say 3 to 4 times a year at least. If you are asking me this question and you have 300, 400 members, you are going to do better opening it less times because it's going to really create that urgency with people where they know that this membership does not open often. So they are marking it on their calendar. They are making sure they are ready for it. Even if it's not the best time, they know it's going to close soon and they don't want to have to wait another half year to get in. So they're going to get in. The other thing that's really cool about this is this also prevents people from just like willy-nilly canceling and then resubscribing and then canceling and then resubscribing, because you will get these people who are literally like the most pain in the ass type of person where they will get something that they need, cancel, and then when it's time for them to like need another question or they want to get on a call, they'll opt in again or they will sign up again and then cancel, and like that's like a pattern of them. And though you don't want that in your membership. It's better if you are keeping it with the open close schedule and you actually stick to your schedule so that people are not just, they know that if they leave, they're going to have to wait to come back in. So now I also want to say like the other nuance and not just say numbers here, because some of you have memberships that are $2,000 a month and you don't have 400 people, 500 people inside of those memberships. Some of you have memberships that are $40 a month and you do. And so there's also that nuance as well. So one thing I say to just like make this very black and white is set your first goal, like first target of members that you want inside your membership. So in the first year, you want this many people. This is your ideal amount of people first. Set that target. So that could be 400, that could be 50. Open and close more often until you get to that number. Then once you get to that number, that's when we're going to pull back, open it less, and then work on really scaling from there. But again, this one, there's a lot. I don't like to just say it on a podcast of like, oh, well, you just want to open and close it 4 times a year, because that also leaves out all of the other things that you're actually kind of doing behind the scenes as well, like funnel sales and maybe podcast sales or whatever it might be. There's just so many different things that you can do depending, but like to really just make it like an overarching vision here is the target is kind of the best thing to look at is what is your target. And then once you reach that, that's when you're going to pull back. But just know there's a lot of little nuances that go behind that as well. And again, it just depends on where you're at inside of your business. Really fun thing, if you are joining $1 Million Memberships Club right now during our open enrollment, one of the resources that we are releasing in this next quarter, she's a big girl. We are releasing an entire memberships founders manual. Inside of this manual, you know how there's so many things that you need to do inside of your membership on a day-to-day basis, a month-to-month basis. You probably know just listening to this podcast, or you might even be like so caught off guard after listening to this podcast, like, holy shit, I had no idea. But there's so many things. There's things like this. Opening and closing your membership. How often should I do it? What should I do in the meantime if we're closed? How often should I post in my community? When should I post in my community? What should I post in my community? When should I be doing these retention practices? When should I be getting people to apply for leaders programs? When should I be getting people to take surveys to see how they're liking the program? Like there's so many little things. And so what we're doing inside of Million Dollar Memberships Club is we are taking all of those things that you technically like need scheduled in your calendar for sales, operations, team tasks, everything, and we're putting it into a manual. So you can literally save this document to your desktop and pull it up, and you can give it to your team member, or you can have it and implement it, and you know exactly what you need to be implementing, what you need to be doing, and when. And we're also making sure that we're highlighting those little nuances of, if you are just starting, this is what your schedule really needs to look like. If you're scaling, this is what your schedule needs to look like. And we're really customizing it depending on if you're in build mode, culture mode, or our $1 million mode. And you are getting it for free when you are a $1 million Memberships Club member. But you have to be inside of the membership. And so, like I said, we are opening right now. We will be closing again. Obviously, you know I'm a fan of that. So that's what I do. And every single thing almost, I think that I'm just looking at my notes, I think everything that we've covered on this call, we have a template for. The 4 R's of retention, we have a template for. Launching your membership, we have a template for. When you come into the membership, you see our success path, and that alone people love. Like I'm just gonna read a comment that we got inside of $1 Million Memberships Club right now. We had a member who just joined during our wait list, and she said, okay, so the success pathway for this membership and the way it's all laid out has been like a light bulb moment for me, and I'm so excited. I have been struggling with how to organize the content for my membership because not everyone who joins my membership is necessarily starting from the same place, and that's made it so hard for me to visualize the pathway. But seeing how Paige has it laid out into 3 phases with the steps matching up with those phases has given me the visual I need to understand how I need to organize my own membership content. So I'm going to be working on this over the weekend. That just like makes me so happy to read. So also, Sarah, if you are listening to this, thank you for posting that in our community. Love you already. Amazing. I'm so happy this is working for you. But even just like these things, it's the best part about being in a membership, and I actually tell our members this as well, is if you are starting a membership, if you're scaling a membership, join other memberships and see what you love about them, because you will have these light bulb moments, whether it's from something like this inside of $1 Million Memberships Club with our checklist, or how we do our onboarding emails. By the way, you get a 30-day onboarding sequence that you can just plug right in so that you don't have to think of what emails to send people after they join your membership. It also includes things like, okay, now that you're in for 7 days, here's what you want to go do. Go dive into this resource and reply back with this. So it's just like all these things that are really going to keep your members engaged in your membership and having a really good experience. But that's a little side tangent. Just going into a membership, you see all these things that you can use or that you don't like and that you want to do different inside of your membership. And obviously with $1 Million Memberships Club, it's completely focused on memberships. So it's obviously a great membership to join if you are a membership founder. But that's just like one of those almost like priceless things that you get from this membership. Like we can say you get templates and you get resources and you get calls every single month for personalized support and feedback. And if you join our VIP tier, you actually do get direct access to Paige and the coaches, and you can ask your questions. But like the priceless things that come from this is also just the community, like seeing people asking questions and connecting with other people and what's working for them and things like this, like seeing the checklist and having these light bulb moments of, oh my God, I love how this is laid out. I'm going to do this inside of my own membership. I really encourage you, if you are scaling a membership this year, if you have a membership, but either it's just not growing the way you want it to, you know that there's so many just moving parts that aren't solidified, you feel like it could maybe crumble at any moment, or you're scared even to have an increase in members because you don't know if they're actually going to get results inside of your membership, or you don't know if they have all the support that they need to see the results and if they're going to love it, or if they're just all going to go on Reddit and trash your membership. So that is a real fear too, of like being scared to grow because you just don't know if it's all set up right. And if that is you in any capacity, I really encourage you to join $1 Million Memberships Club. Again, head to the link in the show notes. It's going to be the first link that you can see. And we have all the details there, everything you get, what we work on. We break down our entire 8-step framework so you can actually see what you're going to be working on in the checklist. You'll actually see some of the things that you'll be doing and learning, whether it's setting up your onboarding or whether it's having your first big launches or whatever it might be. If you go to the checkout page, you can literally see our course layout, what we have inside of there. You can even see some of our templates that are in there. It's just an incredible place to be. So I really encourage you to come join us. get this Black Friday deal because it is such an epic deal, especially if you do want monthly payments instead of paying in full or you need that. Then that is available to you right now, but it's not going to be forever. We are actually only keeping our payment plan open for our next 50 members who join. So instead of waiting, if you want to be getting in, make sure you go to the link in the show notes, join your membership. Oh, and another bonus really quick before we end this is you will also be included in our $1 Million Memberships Club only for members membership vision board party. This is happening on December 31st. At 11 a.m., I think, PST. It's only for those inside of $1 Million Memberships Club, and it's just going to be such a good way to bring in the new year. I normally don't do calls between mid-December and January 7th. However, this is something that I know is going to be so powerful, so impactful for every single person, including myself, because I'm going to be on there with you guys planning my membership for 2026 too, and vision boarding for my membership for 2026 as well. So it's like very casual. We're all doing it together. Bring your favorite drink, come in your sweats, come in your coziest sweatsuit, whatever. And the vibe is, think membership operational planning. So like planning your sales for the next year, planning your KPIs, how many members you want, your goals, targets, all of those things meets vision board party. So really bringing the aesthetic to it, really making sure that you can put that onto a board or a Pinterest board or whatever it is and really create the vision. We're just going to be kind of hanging out on the call. It's literally something you can come in your pajamas to. Bring a coffee, bring a tea, bring a mimosa if you want, whatever your vibe is. And it's just going to be a really fun way to bring in the new year before all the New Year's Eve festivities happen that night. So you can just kind of end this year with the energy and setting the intention that 2026 is the fucking year for your membership. So I can't wait to do that. And hopefully I see you there. If you are not inside of the membership by that time, you won't be able to join. So go grab your membership. We are only keeping the monthly payment options for our next 50 members. I love you guys so much. And thank you for listening and being on this podcast. And like the response that I've been getting to this podcast has been absolutely incredible. I love hearing from you guys. I love talking to you guys in the DMs, those of you who have sent in questions or those of you who just message and let me know that you're listening. Like, thank you. I appreciate you so much. You have no freaking idea. And I look forward to these podcasts every single week. I hope you loved this one and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.